and welcome to the Encore Offstage podcast. It's a conversational podcast where we chat about all things theatre. I'm Ben Bradley.
I'm Lucy GAZZARD.
And I am Adam Guest.
You are Adam Guest. Okay, and we've got some really good things coming up this week. So, Adam, you've got an interview. Who are you chatting to this week?
I'm going to be chatting to Mik Horvath this week.
Ooh, and Lucy's got an exciting topic about...
This week is about upcoming musical movies.
Ooh,
Musical movies.
I think we should start by talking about musical movies this week.
Yeah, let's do that.
So what musicals have you got for us, Lucy?
So I've been going through sort of all the upcoming musicals being turned into movies. So we're looking at sort of those being released, those in production, those that have sort of been confirmed but have yet to sort of start. So to kick us off, I'm going to start with those being released in the upcoming future. So first of all, In the Heights.
Oh, yes, I did hear about this.
In the Heights. So obviously this was a musical by Lin-Manuel and Chiara Alegria Hudes. Apologies if I mispronounced that.
That sounded right to me. Well done.
So the show is a Tony Award-winning musical, and it's based on the residents of Washington Heights, which is a Latino neighborhood in Manhattan, and it's set over the course of 3 days. So a little bit like Romeo and Juliet, really. Very sort of condensed storyline. Now, this is due for release in June 2021, so fingers crossed we do get this one, because I, for one, am very excited about this, because on the cast, they've got Stephanie Beatrice as Carla. Now, for those of you listening, if you don't know who she is Rosa in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Ah!
Yeah.
And if you're a big animation fan like I am, she also voices Gina in BoJack Horseman.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know she did Gina. Ah!
If you go back and listen, it's her doing the voice for that. And she's a fantastic actress. Cannot wait. And it's also got Dasha Balanco. So she's a Dominican-American actress. And she's been in Orange is the New Black. She was Beatrice in Russian Doll. She's been in so many things recently. So really great sort of like Latino cast as well for that one. So I'm looking forward to see how they do it, because I love the music in The Heights.
Okay.
I remember a girl singing, she was singing a few songs from it and made me cry, like one, which is the one where she sings about the abuela. Oh.
I don't know In the Heights very well.
Everything I know, it's such a gorgeous song, and that's what made me sort of listen to the full sort of cast recording. It's stunning, love it. And next up, we've got, you know, quite a modern musical coming up. Everybody's talking about Jamie. So music by Dan Giuseppe Sells and the book and lyrics by Tom McRae. So this was actually inspired by the TV documentary Jamie, Drag Queen at 16. So he wanted to go to prom in drag and they were sort of denying him. So it's overcoming sort of bullies and prejudice to sort of get to become drag and go to his prom. Great story. And we've got Max Hardwood has been cast as Jamie for this. So he's been confirmed as Jamie. This will be his movie debut. So it'll be interesting to sort of like watch him. And they've also got Sarah Lancashire cast as his mother, Margaret.
Oh, that'll be good.
Wow, that'd be good.
That'll be exceptional.
So if anybody hasn't, I don't know how you haven't, because she is amazing. She's a British actress. Her career is very extensive. So she was in Happy Valley, Last Tango in Halifax, but she does also have theatre credits. So she was in Betty Blue Eyes and Little Shop of Horrors. So I'm intrigued to see what she brings to it.
I know that the mum's song at the end is incredibly powerful, so that'll be really interesting to see how she copes with that, because it's a challenging song as well as being really, really emotionally driven. So
and also Richard E. Grant is Loco Chanel, so the former drag queen character.
Oh wow, of course he is.
I can't wait to see what they do with this.
I like Richard E. Grant. You don't see him in much, but I like him a lot. I think he's really got charisma, and he's got
That's interesting. I've never quite been able to work him out. I've always seen him on interviews and always just sort of gone, I don't know.
He's been in quite a few sort of like cult ones. So obviously with Nell and I, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then he's done really random ones like The Little Vampire. His career is just very expansive. So I for one can't wait to see what he brings to that one. And that one is due. That was due for release in October 2020. But then it got pushed back to early this year. But currently, as of yet, there is no release date for this one. So keep an eye out for that one.
Absolutely.
Okay. And just to divert you for a second, Lucy, how do we feel about musicals that become films?
I was just going to ask this because obviously you've got two very different categories. You've got the Tom Hooper ones, and then you've got the good one. No, but
I think it depends because I absolutely adore some of my favorite, like my two top favorite films are Rocky Horror and Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
But I find it's got to be, they've got to actually cast it well for a start.
Yeah.
So you've got to really have people that can get behind it, but also they've really got to pay attention to what they're doing with the actual choreography and how it works with the plot and the music. Otherwise, I just don't find it very compelling sometimes. Like Les Mis, singing was questionable, and I don't think they really sort of sold the story. Like there were things that could have been done better for sort of how they interpret sort of the actors on the stage.
I think some of the casting choices for Les Mis were questionable.
Absolutely.
Because they had big names.
Can we just say Russell Crowe, please, several times?
Thank God.
I like Helena Bonham Carter, but I don't think she was wrong for the cast of Madame Thénardier because I think she was just Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd again.
I think it was so sad that they actually had in the ensemble such great West End like actors and things, and they didn't even utilise them in the main part.
But then, who was Eponine? Was it Sam Barks?
Yeah.
So they did bring her over from the West End show, obviously, which was great. But which was fantastic to see some of that. But I agree, it needed more. And then things like Anne Hathaway picked up her Oscar, didn't she, for Fontaine for her butchering of I Dreamed a Dream.
But see, I liked To Dream to Dream. It was Cosette, who's always a bit. It's like Amanda Seyfried, who her voice just like a warble, just annoyed me. Anyway, let's not focus on one film.
No.
It's things like
have a whole episode dedicated to how much we hate Les Mis the film.
Yeah, I think as a film, it's good. I think it's got good production value. I just think that anyway. Moving on. I think as far as musicals becoming films or being turned into films, I think it's a way of appealing to a wider audience because obviously you get some people who like you'll never catch them in the theatre whatsoever, but they'll go to the cinema and they'll watch a musical in the cinema, or they'll go to see something like, for example, some of the National Theatre Live stuff. They'll go and see it at the cinema, but you won't get them to see it at the theatre. You know?
Sometimes, though, I do feel like that's people's downfall. I remember watching Sweeney Todd in the cinema when it came out.
Yeah.
And as soon as the first song erupted, the people in front said, I didn't realise there was going to be singing in this. And me and my mum were sort of like, it's a musical, of course it's going to be singing.
Musical. Yeah.
I know they think it's going to be an actual like film. And then get a bit of a shock when they realise that Alan Rickman's going to start singing. To be fair though, I did love Sweeney Todd. I think that was good. I think that was a good like film. There's good and bad. There's good and bad. Again, you've got your good, which is like your Sweeney Todd, your Little Shop of Horrors, Mamma Mia to an extent, and then you've got your bad, which is your Cats, your Les Mis.
Interestingly, Cats and Les Mis were all directed by Tom Hooper. Just saying.
And he did King's Speech.
He did do a King's Speech, and that was a fantastic film. But it wasn't a musical. What's interesting was I was watching something about it the other day, and they said that his direction style is so realistic, being given a musical is so out of his remit that he can't film choreography, that he doesn't understand just the conventions, and therefore that's where his downfall is. He's a really good filmmaker, but in the musical theatre genre, we can talk for ages about this.
This is why this next one that's coming out, I am genuinely very excited for, because I think the director will do a fantastic job. West Side Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is it Steven Spielberg?
Yeah, so this is due to release in December 2021, and obviously Spielberg has directed things like E.T., Jaws, Jurassic Park, but he also was on board with Animaniacs, the cartoon.
Oh, he was. Yes, he was.
And
Yes,
he
indeed.
insisted that they have a full orchestra. He made sure that the music accompanying this was phenomenal. So if he puts that much effort into a cartoon which was directed at children, what is he going to do with an actual musical?
Yeah.
I can't wait for that one.
That'll be a good one.
That should be good. That should be good.
And we've got Ansel Elgort as Tony and Rachel Zegler as Maria in that one. So, and they've also got Ariana DeBose as Anita. So obviously she was in Hamilton and the Proms.
Ah, okay.
It's really her year. She is really coming into it in like 2020, like 2020, 2021. She's coming in a lot of sort of like the music.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I can't wait for that, to be honest. That's going to be a great one. But in production, we've also got quite a few like great ones coming up in production. So there's Dear Evan Hansen, and Ben Platt is reviving his role in Dear Evan Hansen, and he is, I think he is phenomenal. I cannot wait for that one. And then you've also got sort of Amanda Stenberg, Caitlin Dever, and Nick Dodani. There are some of the other cast mentioned there, so they're going to have great people on board with this one. And obviously the more recent sort of musical to movie news, The Little Mermaid. Before I go on to this one, how do you two both feel about the Disney movies being on?
Hate them.
For one, I love the Disney movies on stage because they go so much more into plot.
I love them on stage, but the new movies that they do of the old cartoons,
Remakes, yeah, you can't stand
I
remakes.
can't stand.
I'm not a fan. I think this is why I like them on stage, but not the live action, because I feel with on stage, like with cartoons, you can do so much more with what your characters can do, because you can just draw them and do whatever you want. And I feel with the stage, you know, you use your effects so people can use their imagination with the stage, whereas live action, I feel like you're very limited, and if the CGI isn't done well, the effects look bad. And I think that's why Little Shop of Horrors worked so well, because they used puppetry.
But aren't they remaking Little Shop of Horrors?
Yeah, that is on my list, and I don't know how I feel about that, because I feel Janus was wonderful, and I don't care what people say about Ellen Green's voice. I love her as Audrey. I don't care what people say. I love her. So I feel very I feel very conflicted about that one being turned into, because I feel like the original was already so superb.
Didn't she reprise it recently in Broadway?
She did reprise it
with Jake Gyllenhaal. See, there was something I didn't think about, but she was supposed to be really, really good.
I absolutely love her as Audrey. So when I saw that on this list, I was feeling a bit apprehensive, because the original for me was so perfect, and I loved the puppetry. So I'm thinking, are they going to do puppets like they do on the stage and in the original, or are they going to use really bad CGI? That is what I'm concerned about. I want like the magic to be kept in. Yeah,
agreed.
But Little Mermaid though, fantastic looking cast though. So I'm intrigued to see like what they do with like this live action version. So they've obviously got Halle Bailey as Ariel. We've got Jonah Haver-King as Prince Elliot, Prince Eric, and David Diggs. I just love David Diggs, but he's playing Sebastian. I think he's gonna really. I think he's great at that. And then we've got Awkwafina as Scuttle and Melissa McCartney as Ursula.
Wow.
Yeah. Although I kind of wish in a way they had got a man doing Ursula, because you don't really see that very often, having like. No. And who was the drag queen that Ursula was originally based on?
Oh, it was, can't remember. No, can't remember. But
was it the Hairspray author?
I think it
was
Harvey Firestein.
Am I thinking that's right? No, I don't know. Maybe I'm not.
Queen. I'm sure their name was like Magic or something, but they were. I don't know. I think the cast sounds great, but I kind of would like to see somebody's interpretation of using a man as Ursula.
The thing is, it's like with shows. When you have a particular character, people have a certain standard in mind. Like the genie, right, in Aladdin, was originated by Robin Williams. And I understand, I've not seen the whole film, but from what I've heard, when it was in pre-production, people were like, oh, Will Smith's going to do an awful job of that and everything's going to be great. And when it came out, everybody was like, Will Smith saved that movie.
Yes, he did. I watched Aladdin. It's the only one I've seen of the remakes. Well, in the cinema, I saw Beauty and the Beast as well, which is awful. But I saw Aladdin with Will Smith, and he was good because he wasn't doing a Robin Williams impression.
Yeah.
He was doing it his own way.
Yeah.
And had someone come in and tried to be Robin Williams, it would have offended everybody who hold anything dear to that film.
He did make it his own. And I've just
really
remembered the drag queen, it was Divine.
Divine.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Divine.
Yeah.
But again, so it's like with Ursula, is known for that gruff level bass type voice. And it's whether Melissa McCartney tries to emulate that or whether she'll do something completely different.
Take her own spin on it.
It'd be nice to see it. I think it'd be a bit different.
Which is fine if you're going to take a musical. I mean, Cats was brave. Cats was brave.
Oh, definitely.
Because you've got to take something which is an iconic stage dance musical and you've got to turn it into something which is for a new audience. You've got to do something different with it. But I don't know. It's there's so many coming out, and again, it's nice to see them coming out for a different audience.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to be careful with them, personally. But
so, Lucy, let's rattle through these last couple. What else have we got coming up to cinemas soon?
So, in development, and I think this first one's going to interest you, Adam. Bear, a pop-up.
oh,
Yes, Bear. So, if anybody doesn't know, Adam is currently directing Bear along with Ben Ward as the MD and Rob Chilton as production. Very exciting.
so it should be fun. But no, I didn't know they were doing Bear, the film.
Yes, they're turning that into a film since this is only in development. And also in development, we've got Be More Chill, Come From Away, Gypsy, obviously Little Shop of Horrors, Mean Girls, Matilda, Tim Minchin wrote that, obviously going to be great.
Yeah. Excited for that one.
And Spring Awakening. So we've got some really good, music.
Some fantastic musicals coming up.
Excellent. Thanks, Lucy.
That's brilliant. Okay, Adam and Lucy, get your squeakers at the ready.
I don't have a squeaker. I've got my banger.
Noisemaker. You've got your banger and you've got your timer. You don't know. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so this musical quiz is I'm going to test your knowledge of classical musicals, your legits. Okay. Now I know Adam doesn't like it. He likes his legits, but he doesn't know much about them. So we're going to see. I think this is quite easy. You're going to get this, Adam.
Okay.
If I can do it, you certainly can.
Are they multiple choice again?
They are multiple choice again, and you'll be digging in after the answers to make it a bit fairer on both of you. Lucy, how are you with classical musicals?
I think I'm fairly good with classical musicals.
Right.
Yeah?
I'm going to win. I'm going to win. Come on, I'm going to do this.
Okay. Question 1.
I dropped my pen, sorry.
Okay, there's a multiple choice of 3, so not too many. Okay. There's no business like show business is a line from which classical musical? Is it A, On the Town, B, Oklahoma, or C, Annie Get Your Gun? Adam was definitely first.
Annie Get Your Gun.
Correct. Next one. This musical's name comes from the mysterious Scottish village that only appears for one day every 100 years. Is it A, Brigadoon, B, Oklahoma, or C, South Pacific? I can see Adam whacking his pot, but he's frozen. So this is good. There we go. He's back. Right. Okay. What is your answer, Adam?
I'm back. Brigadoon.
Is correct. Well done.
Ready.
Next one. If I Loved You, June is busting out all over, and You'll Never Walk Alone are all songs from what? Can I hear Lucy's? Lucy, did you do it then?
Lucy, are you dinging? Are you dinging your dong?
Yeah.
I think you were first. I saw your face move.
It's you pull the face. It's Carousel.
Of course it is.
If I loved you.
Ow.
I love being
Got no
serenaded.
phones in. Lucy, can you make your dings, that's what I was looking for, closer to your microphone so I can hear, please?
Right, there we go.
Ding it up.
Next one. In this musical, there is a sneezing nightclub singer, a trip to Cuba, and a craps game. Is it A, Guys and Dolls, B, Paint Your Wagon, or C, West Side Story? I mean, you're both doing it pretty hard, but I'm going to give it to Adam, I think.
Guys and Dolls.
Of course it is, correct.
Okay.
Next one. Small world, you've got to get a gimmick, and let me entertain you are all from the musical blank. Is it A, Showboat, B, Gypsy, or C, The Sound of Music? Oh, I can hear a bell, so that's Lucy.
Gypsy.
Correct. Next one. Jeannie and Joe are two of the main characters in the musical blank. Is it A, On the Town, B, Annie Get Your Gun, or C, Allegro? I hear Lucy.
Is it Allegro?
It is. Well done, Lucy.
That's
a
me a
hard
curveball.
one.
That's a difficult one.
What the score's looking like?
We are neck and neck so far.
Neck and neck.
Oh.
Oh, and there's 4 left, so it could go either way. This musical is a version of William Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. Is it A, Kiss Me Kate, B, Peter Pan, or C, Babes in Arms? Adam, can hear Adam going first.
Kiss Me Kate.
Correct, well done. The next one. This classic musical was also based on a Shakespeare hit, Romeo and Juliet. Is it West Side Story, The Music Man, or Gentlemen Prefer Blondes? I heard Lucy first.
West Side Story.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Right, last two. You're still neck and neck though, aren't you?
Yes.
This classic is the 4th longest running Broadway show in musical history. That's all you're getting. I'm not going to ask you the rest of the question. Is it Porgy and Bess, The Sound of Music, or The King and I? Adam?
I want to say The Sound of Music.
That's incorrect.
Oh.
Is it Porgy?
That too is incorrect.
Oh.
It's The King and I. The rest of the question would have been, and the show revolved around a British school teacher in Bangkok.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't want to give that to you because that would be too easy.
That would be too easy, yeah.
So
this is the decider, is it?
Yeah, it is. Ooh.
Well, it worked out well, didn't it?
This is quite an easy one. So I'm actually going to go. I'm not going to give you the answers.
Okay.
Whoever can shout it out first.
Okay. Do we have to wait for the end of the question, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But you're not getting answers, so just I'm going to ask you a question. And that's
it. Okay.
Some Enchanted Evening is a hit song from the classic musical blank.
South Pacific.
I literally went blank. I went completely blank.
Lucy, you have taken victory in Adam's defeat there.
Well done, Lucy. I knew it was Rodgers and Hammerstein, but I couldn't remember which one it was.
That
was my first musical I was ever in at school.
I
ever did at school, and I absolutely loved Some Enchanted Evening. It was like one of my favourite ones of the show.
That was amazing. Well done, Lucy. You are victorious this week. And at the end of the season, at some point, we'll have like a checkpoint and we'll see who's winning the quizzes.
Yay.
We'll make sure it's an even number so we will have an even chance.
I have a feeling it's you, Ben. I have a feeling you're the one winning the quizzes so far.
Who knows? We'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, Lucy, your mug made your face disappear for a second. Then it was
just she's so embarrassed the fact that I'm winning the quizzes that she had to disappear for a second. Wow. That's magical. Wow. Right, it's time now to move on to Adam. What are you bringing to us this week?
I am bringing you an interview with
You are?
Yes,
indeed.
You are. I am going to be speaking to Mick, who is an actor, as well as his day job as well. So let's hear from Mick.
So we want to welcome Mik Horvath, who is a part-time actor, and we want to say hello, Mick. Hello, Mick. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey up, Adam. Great, thanks, mate. Yeah,
Good,
absolutely.
good. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure.
You and I, we've known each other a few years now.
Yep.
We've worked together. We've played together. We've had some laughs. We've had some tears. So one of the reasons we wanted to get you on the podcast was just to get your side of the story and hear about your experiences of lockdown and things, and also hear about your inner thinkings about how you go about creating characters. Because you're you're one of the most, you're a very talented actor. I will say that.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
A lot of people I know who know you will also say exactly the same thing. What was it that made you want to get started involved in acting?
I guess I got involved initially when I was at school. So, and I was never ever at school. Certainly the earlier years, I was never interested in it much. We in primary school, we did a few little sketches where the parents came to watch, and that's all it was. There were no sort of full plays, or just little comedy sketches. And at that time, I had. My mum bought me once for my birthday when I was, I don't know, I guess 7 or 8. She bought me a version of Rod Hall's Emu.
Oh yes,
yeah. I'm doing it there. I don't know if you noticed. I'm actually doing I'm miming it there as we're talking, as you do. And we put ourselves, as me and another guy, that we did a bit of impressions. There were probably a load of rubbish at the time, but we thought we were good at the time. So we did a few impressions. So as part of I don't know if it was a Christmas thing, but we did a bit of a thing with the school and we did a few sketches. So I started with that. And then when I was in senior school, there were a few plays that we did there, probably about 3 or so plays that we put on the school hall. And again, parents came along. So I got into it and really enjoyed it. And in fact, one of the plays we did was called The Liberty Tree, which was about the true events of the Pentridge uprising back in the 19th century.
Yes.
And the following year, so we put it on as a play. The following year, I think it was Central TV as was then.
Yeah.
They approached the school. They must have heard about it and wanted to do it was the children's evening slot in the Times, the 4:30, 4:45 slot, and they did a 40-minute film piece on that, and I played Lord Liverpool, and I only had a few lines, but I probably had the best role because I was Lord Liverpool and the filming was all done at Locker Park at Locker Hall, which is quite a grand hall overlooking a lake in Spondon, and it was very much like Monday. It was snow everywhere. It was all but bright blue sky, sun shining. Wow. You couldn't, it was like a film set that you'd spent hours and loads of money creating it. It just happened. It was just pure nature. And I'm there in this lavish outfit with and some servant came over with a cocktail and I just loved it. So I fell in love right from there. And I really wanted to take up acting as a living, as you do back then. And but my mum and dad said no. My dad was saying, no, you've got to get a trade behind you. You've got to get a trade behind you, which of course was the thing back then. Mm-hmm. So nothing happened. And then, cutting a long story short, in 2009, my lad, Adam, was at Landau School at the time. We were big into their arts and what have you. And he auditioned for Peer Gynt that Derby Live were doing.
Yeah.
It was a big thing back then because it was Derby Live bringing back to life the community theatre as was then. And we did it on Cathedral Green as an open air in the summer.
Yeah.
He went along for auditions and he was sort of put forward by Tony Coffey, who was head of drama at Landau at the time. And unbeknown to me, Adam came back after the first audition and said, oh, you'll never guess who's there. Pete Meakin, who I did some pieces with him, directed me when I was in my late teens. And he said, oh, you should have come along to the audition. Anyway, the following week, I went to the follow-up, got in, and not looked back, really. And it was a fantastic piece. It was the special thing for me about that one was they did 4 Peer Gynts through the stages of the life of Peer Gynt.
Yeah.
And there was me and Adam as father and son playing. I was the where are we? Adam was the young peer. Then so there was me, father and son. Then there was another father and son, Terry Smith and Nat Smith, who you may or may not know. They're big into the drama as well. So there were two father and sons playing all the four peers, which was brilliant. And I got into it there. So, and since then, I've, like you, well, I think you taught me by quite a bit, but I've done 30 plus stage plays and bits filming, and yeah, absolutely love it to bits.
What do you prefer? Do you mentioned about filming and stage play? What do you prefer, stage? Do you prefer filming?
Yeah, I prefer stage. That's my passion. I think I guess because initially it's only fairly recently. I mean, in fact, I think one of my main first bits of filming was with you, Adam, obviously, when we did Hood, which absolutely amazing experience. And it's a very different way of acting, isn't it? And setup. But I think theatre is my passion because the buzz you get. You know, you're on stage with a group of people that you've got to trust so implicitly. You know, anything can go wrong and does, doesn't it? And in fact, every night is different, isn't it? But it is that buzz and the feedback, the instant feedback you get from the audience as well, which usually is good. I don't think either of us had. Well, I speak for myself. I don't think we've had anything thrown at us just yet. But
not yet. No.
But yeah, this time. But I guess that's it. It's working live performance is second to none. And just that knowing that buzz for me. I know some people probably a bit twitchy about it, but in some ways, knowing that things can go wrong and do go wrong, that's part of the thrill in a way, because you've got to make sure you get out of it. You've got to try and stay in role, and keep. I think I love it.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh mate, you just hearing you talk and just thinking back to some of the memories that we've had. I mean, we've done some dramatic roles and we've done some very funny roles. I just think of Lady Killers straight away.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned. I was thinking about that earlier. Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of my highlights so far. I have to say that we had such. I mean, it was such a fantastic piece of writing, wasn't it? It was so funny, and the fact that we always say, even now, don't we? The fact that we were laughing so much in rehearsals, even when we did it the second time up at Chesterfield. Said it all. It was just such fun.
Yeah.
And to be able to do something like that and get so much enjoyment out of it ourselves as well. It said it all. It's such a great bunch of cast, crew, and I'd do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, agreed. It was just such a sort of wonderful experience, and it gave me. As I say, we've done some comedy stuff and drama stuff. Do you prefer comedy or drama?
I'm a comedy. I like my comedy.
Yeah.
Like you. I love to watch comedy, live and film. But I don't know if I don't think either way really, because there's some cracking dramatic pieces. And that's what theatre's about, isn't it? In terms, it's not just about trying to making them laugh. It's the thought-provoking stuff as well, and the trying to get the audience to come along in the illusion and feel all the emotion, and I get enjoyment out of any role I play, whether that be a comedic piece or a dramatic piece. I mean, we obviously the last performance, certainly I did live performance, was with you when we did the Repton one, when we did A View from the Bridge, and I absolutely love that, and it's a real, as a typical Arthur Miller piece, but I got so much out of that, and I think we all did, didn't we?
We did,
and the way that Barry set it as well, staged it, and it was, I can feel the tingle down my back now just thinking about it. It was special. I don't think I've got a preference. If I had to choose, I'd probably say comedy. I like to have a laugh, and I like to, I like to be able to make people laugh. So, I suppose that probably edges it if I were forced to choose. Yeah,
I feel like we sort of have the same when we perform. We have the same sort of style, whether we're doing comedy or drama, we know that we want to have fun with it. And so, I mean, you and I, we've had some right laughs in rehearsals, as you say.
Yeah.
And I think that's made us, I think that draws us together in friendship, because you know that you can have a laugh and a joke with somebody, but at the same time, you can trust somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right thing. Have you ever had an experience where you've worked with somebody and you just think, I just don't necessarily trust this person, or like you say, things can go wrong?
Yeah. Yes, I have. I mean, I won't mention names. And to be fair, they're probably names that because it was a long while ago.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, you get to know, don't you? Certainly through acting, you get to know who your friends are, and we don't all, we're all different people, aren't we? To be fair, in any walk of life, but certainly when you're doing a production, you get to know people very quickly, because you spend quite a lot of time rehearsing and but I have to say, in general, I've been fortunate to work with some fantastic people. And you need that trust. It's vital, isn't it? You need that trust, because unless you've got that, and you've got that sort of assurance and comfort that they're there for you, because like we said, live theatre, anything can happen. And I'd like to think that people would back me up as I would them, and you need that trust. So, but yeah, there have been some, and I think it's the people. I'm like you again. We're both very passionate and committed with anything we do. It doesn't matter whether it's professional or amateur, as far as I'm concerned. People are paying good money to come and watch, and I think there's whilst we have fun, there's a discipline there that the audience members deserve. And I think there are some people that don't give it that full commitment and passion. And I know it's, like we've said, we do it because we enjoy it, and it is a social sort of outlet as well. But at the end of the day, as I say, we all want to be there. We want to do as good a job as we're able to do, and give the audience, the people, punters paying the money, something to come for it and to hopefully come again for. So, yeah, but there have been a few, but I'm lucky enough to say not many in the main. I've met some brilliant people, you obviously being one of them, and you know how I feel about you, and before you start that they're there for you, and that's one of the big things I've certainly got out of acting.
And likewise, buddy, it's exactly the same way, reciprocated. So yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from. You mentioned about the filming that you've done with me and other things. Do you do much in the way of professional work?
Yeah, the only professional work I do really is I do a lot of, and I've been doing it since I've been acting again, since 2009. I do paid role play work.
Yes.
And sadly that's not the role play work that some people might think when listening back to this, but and that's through the likes of Terry Stevenson, who's been doing it for a while, and Janet Allison, and who were both in Peer Gynt when we started. So that's the way it started. So basically, to train up, whether it's junior doctors, GPs, psychiatrists, you're given a script, a brief, if you like, a patient brief. So you're an actor simulator with symptoms, sort of medical history and all this lot. And I've been doing that, as I say, for the last 12 years or so. And equally, love that. I mean, it's nice that you get paid for it, but it's, it's mainly up at either Sheffield, or there's some local Derby, there's some Chesterfield, some Nottingham. But I love that. It's because you do your research on that, like you do for any piece that we do. You do a bit of background work. So yeah, I get paid for that, and I'm picking up, hopefully picking up more of that, because I was fortunate enough to semi-retire at the back end of last year. So I'm trying to push myself to do a bit more.
Matt, well, you're fortunate. It's almost like you've planned this. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you a bit about the work that you do part-time with the NHS. I say part-time, but I call you a part-time actor, because I see you doing both as your work. So even though it may be, you mentioned you're semi-retired, I can't do anything or say anything like this without mentioning about lockdown and the year that we've been through. And as I say, I before we move on, I just want to say, knowing you working with the NHS that you do and the people that you work with, I may potentially swear here, but you guys have done a bloody good job.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I feel quite fortunate in lots of ways, and people think I'm a bit odd in a way, because right from the outbreak back in March last year, I've been fortunate that I've had a routine, because we've been in work every single day.
Yeah.
We're doing a little bit more working from home now, because obviously it's not good, is it, at all at the minute? If anything, it's a lot worse, as we see daily as we'll look at the figures. But we go into work, and certainly the initial lockdown and the initial outbreak, it was, God, what the bloody hell, what we're doing? It was a mad panic. We were in at weekends looking where we could squeeze extra beds in, and I'm talking, some of it was down to, can we get a bed in this office? Can we change this room to get, it was that, because we just didn't know what, we were seeing all the data about what the peak was going to be back then. A little did we know that the peak we're having now is far worse than we had back then. But so it was a scary time, both in terms of, turning up. Well, I say scary. I mean, we do what we do in the NHS. I mean, obviously the nursing staff are unbelievable. In fact, I was looking at something on Facebook earlier tonight and almost brought me to tears in a way. And it was a lady I know who also does a lot of acting. She'd shared this post about female influencers, and these should be the real female influencers. And it was a collage of about 7 or 8 nurses, and the sores and bruises have got just from wearing masks, visors. Their faces were a right mess, and they've obviously been doing that from day one. I mean, the early stages we didn't wear masks in the hospital, because we didn't know at that stage where, it's only really the back end of last year and with the latest peak that we've started, we wear a mask every single, so from getting out of my car now we park across the road from the hospital, and we've got about a 10-minute walk. All staff park off site, but from getting out the car we have a mask on, and all the way over into the office we wear the mask all through the day, and it only comes off when I'm back in the car at night. So but the nurses have been living and breathing that, and I say breathing, which is right from day one almost. Certainly the nursing staff and all the healthcare staff, both NHS and community, unbelievable. But the reason I say fortunate, because I've had a purpose to get up in the morning, get dressed and go to work. And so I've had a routine, I've had some sort of normality. And, I equally say that to the likes of yourself and thousands and millions of others that haven't had that, where the first lockdown, it was more of a lockdown than now in some ways, because at least now there's still people, it was real key workers at the time, wasn't it? And obviously there was the furlough scheme, but now there's a lot more work going on. But it would have driven me absolutely crackers to be stuck in and not being able to get out. So it's funny. I say I look at it a bit differently, but and I think everyone's done their bit. Everyone has done their bit. It doesn't matter whether you're a key worker or not, because in some ways we're all key workers, I think, aren't we? Because we're all there to do our bit to try and keep ourselves, our families, friends safe. And it's back to covering your back, and people were there trusting people, isn't it? But there's a small minority, I think, that we'd all agree probably don't think the same. But gladly, it is a small minority.
Well, I know it's a heavy topic, but I just want to. Just to move off it slightly, but just in the same vein, obviously we as actors and performers, we've had very little to do in terms of a hobby or pastime, or sometimes even work. How do you feel about the restrictions that have been on theatres and things that have been since the lockdown? Do you agree with them? Do you think that there should be something done about it, or what? Just I'm not asking for an in-depth.
No.
Just getting your opinion, really.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's fair to say that it's so sad, isn't it? It's, I mean, everything we've talked about so far on this interview, it's so sad because theatre, well, any live performance or even cinema where you're going to watch something, it's there for us all as a bit of a relief, isn't it?
Yes,
forget COVID. COVID aside, in some ways, it's there. It's what we do as part of and how we recharge and have some downtime ourselves. So it is sad. I know there's lots of politics around it, and I think there was quite rightly initially that there was a bit of an outcry, and I can understand it because I've missed it. So not just performing, but being able to just go and watch a piece of theatre or go to the cinema and anything like that. But I can understand the outcry initially because it was a bit of unknown, wasn't it, for the whole nation, the whole world, what this virus was about. But I think now, looking at the daily figures, sadly, I think it is the right thing to do.
Yes.
With the hope that God's hope that we. That there is a light at the end of the tunnel. That's the thing, isn't it? That's the scary bit, I think.
Yeah,
it is. There's a lot of people in the entertainment industry that have obviously lost their jobs, lost money, and obviously the nervousness around will they get the jobs back and what have you. But hopefully that there will be that light at the end of the tunnel soon. And obviously vaccinations are coming along, but it's a difficult one, mate, isn't it? Like you say,
and I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No. I personally think they could have done things better.
Yeah.
I've and not just with the theatre side of it. I think there's some decisions that were I think they've done a best of a bad job in a way in some of the decisions. Some of the decisions were probably late on some of these things, last minute, and and it was good to see the likes of National Theatre were putting streaming some stuff which was great. I mean, we watched a few of those and really enjoyed them, and so there's been some good work by those theatre companies and whatever out there to try and give some respite. But I think I think let's just hope with the vaccination process that's going on and people doing their bit to try and protect everybody, that we can get back in and let's bloody hit it big time. And absolutely, because one of the things that I think we're all conscious of, and certainly we are. In fact, I had a long meeting today, a couple of hours where which, and I won't go into detail, but about the importance of that downtime, because some people aren't getting that downtime because there's nothing to go and do to have that downtime. You get up in the morning, if you're lucky enough to get to work and have a routine, brilliant. But even then, you come back, you have your tea, you get to bed, you're back again, and there's no relief, is there, at all?
It's one of the reasons we started the podcast.
Absolutely.
To give something, just to sort of something for us to do, but also for other people to listen to as well, and get yourself, this involved and have a chat. In terms of stuff, because I realise it's quite a heavy subject and want to make it as light and breezy as possible. Have you seen anything online that you think, oh, you know what, that would never have happened if this hadn't have happened? In terms of something that's new that you've seen?
Because of out of COVID?
Yeah. Like, have you seen any like online performances or anything that you've seen?
I mean, people have been, some amateur theatre groups and professional, I guess, have been trying to look at different ways of, like you say, like you're doing now, I guess, it's different ways of both giving people a bit of an outlet, both in terms of doing a bit of a performance, whether it be a read through or We did Belper Players did an adaptation of A Christmas Carol just the week before Christmas, which was over Zoom, and it was a sort of 40-45 minute whistle stop through that, where they invited people to come in and donate to charity if they wanted to. And so, you know, for both audiences as well as performers, to just, like I say, it's just to want to keep people interested in the arts, you know, keep reminding people we're still all here, we still want to please you, we still want to, you know, come and watch something. And so I think people have been doing some different like that, and certainly in the role play I do, a lot of it now is there are some, well, it gradually ease back into some face-to-face role play with protection in place. But certainly now at the moment it's still happening quite a lot, but over Zoom or Microsoft Teams. So they're using the technology more, which is great to see. And I think it's a good thing. In fact, I mean, the technology has been there for a while, hasn't it? You know, that things like this, and we've not probably, and I think that's fair to say with us where we work at the trust with the healthcare, it's been there for a while. We've probably not used it. And whilst I think it's things like using, you know, the virtual meetings are good. They've got their place, I think, depending on what the meeting's about, how many are on the meeting. Sometimes you get hundreds of people and they all got the video on. It's very interesting to
see what we're doing.
But so and as I say, I touched on it earlier with the National Theatre coming up with that idea about streaming some pieces. It was good to see, and just keeps people going.
So when this is all done and we're all back to some form of normality, what would you say your dreamed project would be?
Well, I won't say too, but so I mean, I won't do a cop out, but I will say first of all that I mean, any project, any acting, performance or production I love, you know. And I say that both in terms of, I mean, one of my roles that I enjoyed just as much as many others was when we did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I probably had a dozen lines tops, but it was on stage all the time, a little bit like, I had more lines, but a little bit like A View from the Bridge. As the narrator, Alfieri, I had a number of lines, but on stage all the time. So you're kind of using all the skills in terms of your body language and everything else, because you still got to be in character and focus. And I mean, I like everything I do, and I'm grateful for people giving me an opportunity. And it sounds a bit cheesy, and I don't mean it to be, because it isn't. I just love everything about it, and I'd do anything. Well, almost. Yeah, I would. I'd do anything. Yeah, I'd do anything, honestly. Because, as I say, I'm fortunate, like we touched on earlier, that I do a lot of work with some fantastic people, fantastic actors and crew and directors and theatre venues. You know, just I've dreamed of always dreamed as a kid when we used to go to the old Derby Playhouse to watch the Bantos. Dreamed to be up on that stage, and I've been lucky enough to be at the Derby Theatre and the Theatre Royal in Nottingham and the Notts Playhouse, and it's oh god. But I think in terms of dream project. I won't say too much because it's an initial concept that myself and my son Adam are thinking of, but we've got an idea of something. So I've performed with Adam probably 3 or 4 times since I've been acting, and it's the best to be able to perform alongside your son or any family, or, you know, it's brilliant, it's special. So that's certainly something that we're thinking of at the moment. But anything, mate, absolutely anything, and it'll just be a joy to get back into doing something, won't it? And
absolutely,
and seeing people.
Well, Mick, thank you so much for taking the time to just talk to me, mate. It's so good to see you and to catch up with you. And
likewise, mate.
And If you're happy, thank you for coming on the podcast. And if you're happy, we'd love to have you back again at some point.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Give me a topic and I'll.
I've got a few crunchies. I don't know about a topic.
yeah.
But mate, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
I will catch you again soon. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Cheers, mate. No, appreciate it. Loved having it. Yeah, thank you. Cheers, mate. Ta-ra.
Thank you ever so much, Mick, for you talking to us, and we look forward to talking to you again soon, my friend.
That was brilliant. Thank you very much, Adam. And that is it again. Oh my, we are rattling through these episodes now.
Yes!
Yeah. Adam,
yes.
You can go in the podcast cupboard.
Oh.
But we'll give you some water. And he's so shocked by that, he's completely frozen. All that leaves me to do then. Okay, what? Yeah, yes, okay. Bye, Adam.
Bye. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye.
So polished, we're professionals, aren't we?
Bye,
all that leaves me to do is bye, Adam. Bye.
Bye.
Go, I'm trying to wrap up. Go.
Okay, bye. Bye.
All that leaves me to do is to wrap up this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
He's gone. Thank you for listening. And if you'd like to engage with us, you can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Encore Offstage Pod. If you're watching on YouTube, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, like, comment, all that thing. That lovely stuff. And if you could leave us a rating or review as well on your podcast app of choice, that'd be really helpful. Every little bit does help. If you fancy supporting us in a different way, you can support us over on Patreon. You find the link to that in our description down below. All that remains to be said is thank you very much to Lucy and Adam for joining me this week, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye, everyone.